Hi, this is Joan Del Judas from Opera at Florham as president, and we welcome you this afternoon to this wonderful interview with our wonderful, spectacular Metropolitan Opera stars, Mark Delavan and Kathryn Krasovec. They will be featured at our musicale on Sunday, April 18th, and we hope to see all of you and your friends there. I won't talk too much because I'm going to introduce Mariana Karpatova, who is our narrator, and she is a singer as well, has her own voice studio and is a teacher, voice teacher at Fairleigh Dickinson University. She will be our narrator today, and she will then introduce our wonderful artistic director, Mary Pinto. Thank you. Mariana.
Hi, it's my pleasure to interview our wonderful artists, Kathryn Krasovec and Mark Delavan. And here is also our artistic director, Mary Pinto. My first question to Mary is, how did you come up with the idea to create this program?
So I met Mark Delavan backstage at the Met when I was coaching Deborah Boyd for the ring cycle, and Mark just happened to stop by to say hello. He came by for about 10 minutes, and within 10 minutes I knew that I adored this man and I needed to get a chance to play for him at some point. And that he was brilliant, and of course hearing him sing was enough for me. So Kathryn and I had been talking about wanting to do a program in support of Opera at Florham for a while, so I thought it would be fantastic to pair these two artists together, who know of each other but who never sung together before. And I wanted April to be a really special program with a wide variety of repertoire, and to get two Metropolitan Opera first-class singers to end our season for Opera at Florham in April. So that's how it came about. And I'm hoping all of you will come join us, because they are going to be insanely amazing.
Wonderful.
Is that good? Okay.
So, if I may ask you guys, how were you introduced to opera?
I wasn't. I was born into it. My parents were both aspiring opera singers from the time I was learning operas from the time I was 3. My parents told the story for years of me taking my mother's wraparound skirt, putting it on as a cape, taking a cowboy hat, flipping it up on the left, and putting a plume from the feather duster in, taking the end of a broom and shouting, "Lascialiteño, battiti meco," from, not really in Italian, I made that part up. I just thought I'd throw that. Here we go.
Well, opera came to me later, I'm afraid. I sang a lot in the high school musicals and plays and things like that. And then I auditioned at the University of Denver, which is where I completed my undergraduate degree. And I was lucky enough to get a scholarship, so it was sort of decided that that was what I would do. And from then, the more I learned about music, and the first opera, the Beggar's Opera was the first thing I was a part of at school. The more I learned, the more I loved it, and continue to love it every day.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, which was the first opera you saw? Is that
Well, that was the first one I was in, and I was trying to think of the first full, so I would say it would be Don Giovanni. It was the very first whole opera that I've seen.
serious stuff?
Yeah, serious stuff.
How about
I don't know. It's either going to be Amal and the Night Visitors with my mother doing the mother, Tosca with my father doing Scarpia and my mother doing Tosca,
Ooh.
Don Giovanni with my father doing Don Giovanni, or Rigoletto. I don't remember which. But that's a very nice choice, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be an interesting question to one day to ask your children. Because they grew up.
They have very similar. I have a story about that if you're interested. So I'm doing Rigoletto in Baltimore. And Matthew is 2. Matthew, who you know, Matthew, who she and our sons have grown up together. Matthew's 2. And this director had this interesting idea of making it commedia dell'arte, which involved these asinine masks that came out to a very nice point and had feathers and stuff. And there was the abduction scene, and I'm standing there with the ladder and the scooby-dooby-dooby-dooby-dooby, right? And my son looks over to his mother and sees these guys with these masks and says, "Look, Mommy, chickens." And if you know Matthew, that's kind of how he is right now. He still is.
Well, but another interesting story, if I may share about Matthew. I think he was 5 when you were doing Sweeney Todd. He knew the whole...
He knew the whole opera.
The whole opera.
Whole show.
It was scary.
And this sweet little auburn-faced boy screaming, "Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd," is a little terrifying.
So, if I may ask you guys, when did you start taking voice lessons?
You go first on this one.
High school, voice lessons, and then seriously in college, I would say. Yeah.
I'm going to say a lot later, because of the upbringing that I just described, I wanted no part of it. I thought, this is a level of insanity that I heretofore never knew existed, and I wanted no part of it. Just kidding. Although we are kind of crazy. Yeah. And I started in college, my first year in college, and I didn't think anything of it till much later.
But your father was also a teacher, right?
Oh yeah, he's a great teacher. He was a great teacher.
Did you ever study with him?
I did for the last years of his life. I kept going back to him and saying, this little thing right here, what's up with that? And he'll do something crazy and say, just sing louder. Not really. He didn't say that. It sounds funny, but it's not true.
Yeah, because it's always tricky for parents to teach their children. When I started teaching children, I thought, okay, now I'll make a singer of my son. And his attention was for about 2-3 minutes, and then he said, "Now you go here, and I'll go on the piano, and I'll tell you how to do it." So,
is this Chrissy?
Chrissy, yes, not much luck there.
I would like to hear Alex sing, frankly. That's a thunderous.
That was scary.
I bet. Sorry, jump in any time, friends. This is
which teacher would you consider as, or a person, would you consider as someone that you think that was the best that you had, and somebody who gave you the best advice? Kathryn?
So Trish McCaffrey is who I study with. We talked about that. Started with her at the Met. In fact, she was recommended to me after I was one of the competition winners. So I started studying with her, that was a long time ago, and have studied with her through the years and still do. Yeah, in fact, I had a lesson scheduled, it was right when COVID started, when it was really bad, like it was locked down and just kids stopped going to school, but I had a lesson and I never missed my lessons. So she wrote me an email, she said, "Are you sure? You don't really need to come into the city for this." And I said, "Oh, but I have a lesson." "Yes, I did." She was like, "Kathryn, it's okay. You do not have to come for a lesson today. We're having a pandemic. You can stay home." But she's phenomenal. She has amazing ears, and she's what I love about her is that I feel like she respects my whole life. That she honors my whole life. When I decided to have children, she's very supportive of a singer being a whole person, and I really respect that. And that's something that I will always hold dear to me always, is that she supports my whole world.
Wonderful. Yeah. And wonderful you still have her.
Yeah, oh, thank goodness I have her, yeah.
Mark?
One of the things I love about Trish is she is straight to the point.
Oh, she'll tell you what she thinks.
She'll tell you, and sometimes it's going to be profane.
Yeah.
But it's going to be straight to the point.
Yep.
It won't be one of those, try to round out she'll say, "I don't like that."
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know that. No, I didn't, but I know her.
You know Mark.
I sang with Mark in IU.
Okay.
He sang Klingzor. He was wonderful
nice.
Klingzor. Yeah, we sang a very nice participle.
Yeah.
I have two. The obvious one is my father, the obvious one. But as everyone probably knows, I had a very, very close relationship with Jerome Hines, who ran Opera Music Theater International from its inception to the day of his death. He was the first. He was the first guy. He was the first guy that connected the dots for me. There's all this yum 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 stuff that we do. But he was the one. Now I come in. I'm doing this. I'm doing this audition for him. And at that time, I sang a certain way. You know, it was like, you know, one of these sounds. One of those sounds. I'm very descriptive, I know. So I come in there and I sing ballo, I sing the bari. I'm singing like this. And he stopped. Oh, that's very nice. This is my best Jerome Hines. Jump in anytime. That's very nice, and I knew a lot of singers that used to use that kind of technique, and he mentioned off half a dozen names of people that I knew and respected. Ettore Bastianini used to sing, yeah. But the men that I respected, and then click, he had my ear right there. The men that I respected that had very big careers, I heard money. So I clicked that in right away, and he said, sang like this. And he reared back that monstrous head of his, and he said, and I swear to God, the foundations of that building shook. And I, blinked my eyes, and I'm going, well, okay then, let's try that.
Yeah.
So that was one of those, he and I had several watershed moments that were like that, but so he's right up there.
Wonderful. Do you guys have a story of improvising on stage, either with a prop or somebody forgot their line, or you forgot your line, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all.
Yeah.
One guess.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing?
One of my favorite ones was in Sweeney, and we were doing Priest. And she has the line, and it was Elaine Page, and Elaine Page has a natural Cockney accent. And she said the line, always leaves you wanting more. And then she looked at me like this. And that look means I have no idea what the next line is. And I had my back turned and I said, lawyer's pretty nice. She went, lawyer's pretty nice. If it's for a price. That's probably my best one. And the only other one that's kind of interesting is I was doing Ford in Falstaff with the great Cheryl Milnes doing the title role. Oh my God! And Mignon Dunn was doing Quickly. It was sensational cast, and we were in that third act. I don't remember. It's the scene where they're all trying to find Falstaff, whichever act that is. I think it's 3-1. And the guy doing Caillou says, "Ah, ladro!" And he turns a basket of crap on its ear, and a plate started rolling, and a tin plate was rolling, and everyone in this room knows which direction it was heading. It was heading for the orchestra pit.
Oh my God.
And and this is all in that rhythm, right? And for some reason, I had the ability to just hit that overdrive speed, ran by, grabbed that plate, turned right around, got to my place, and never missed a beat. So improvisation, I don't know if it's that, but it was also terrifying.
Terrifying, exactly.
I was lucky enough to be Fest, so I had an engagement with the German Opera House for 3 years, and then I spent a lot of time guesting. And part of being Fest is that you're singing. There were roles times. I think my second year I sang 100 performances. Not all big roles, but still I had to. And so sometimes part of that is that other theaters would call you if someone was sick. So I did that with Musetta one time, where they're sick and they know you're singing it in the neighboring town, and they call you. It happened to me with Janacek too a couple times. So of course I always said yes. We Americans always say yes.
We say yes, don't we?
And that would be a time where they would usually show you a video of so you would get no stage rehearsal. They would show you the basic staging. They're going to assume that you're musically secure, but you don't really get to meet your colleagues till you're on stage. So there were several times where I would be singing and my tenor would come and he'd be like, Guten Tag, Frau Krasovec, and we would do sort of a hi, yeah, okay, and then we'd go back to singing. So there were a lot of those. A lot of those, yeah, a lot of throwing. But it was a great experience, and I mean, and then too, there were a lot of times when I had no idea what to do on stage, and I would let my colleagues, But I have to say, don't you think that singers really have each other's back most of the time?
I would say all.
yeah.
I think
the rare. It's more times than not. That's the rare occasion when you've got a questionable colleague who has the only back that they have is their own.
That's right.
And everybody sort of leaves them alone. But more times than not, I'm with you.
Yeah, people.
I'm with you.
You help your people.
You have to. You have to.
Yeah.
Part of the gig.
Yep. Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite performance, something that it will always stay with you?
Yeah, I got a couple of them. I have a couple of Rigolettos in the back of my mind where I got to the end of Cortigiani, and it was that moment where I was like, oh God, I'm gonna make it. There's something about the second act, when you start that second act, there's just that unsureness. I've got a couple like that. Some of the Votans at the Met, some of the Votans in San Francisco, where you get to the end of the Abschied and you're putting your daughter to sleep for a millennia. And there's something, I don't have any daughters, but there's something about the Rigoletto Gilda, Wotan, Brunhilde, the whole thing about father-daughters has always been a big deal to me.
I was lucky enough when I sang in Germany to get to be Anne Frank in Das Tagebuch der Anne Frank, which was a mono opera based on like 6 entries of her diary, written by a Russian composer, Grigory Fried, and it was written in Russian and then transcribed to German. So it had its German debut, but not its. I got to make the Czech debut of it, but in any case, I was cast to do it. I was third choice. Oops, that happens to me a lot actually. Where someone couldn't do it, someone couldn't do it. Yeah, they're like, call Frau Krasovec, she'll say yes. She does. So, and luckily I did, and it was a dream role, dream experience. The music director was terrific. It was staged in a box, so she was literally trapped in a box, and the box was on its side. So I ran up, I performed up and down the box that was suspended, and writing on the walls, writing on the diary. It was just really and then it was, on the walls of it was really, and the first performance, it was in the Viehmarkttermen, which was in the middle of the Haupt, the square, the town square. And it just so happened that as the orchestra, it was an hour, the orchestra plays the last note, and by the grace of God, the church bells rang.
Wow.
And it was not playing. Yeah, it was like, and it's when the light goes out, so you know what happens, the door opens, you know her story, and then and it was just one of the things I'll never forget. One of those. And then we got to perform it in the Czech Republic as a premiere there. Mm-hmm. But I have to go back to, sorry, let me say something.
No, you first, and then because I'm going to jump in.
So a Wagner moment of mine, which I'm clearly not a Wagner singer, but I got to sing in Parsifal as a Blumenmädchen, and I was a Knaben back when it was Wolfgang Brendel. It was a long time ago. Yeah.
He's at IU now.
Oh yes,
I ran into him. Yeah.
And I will never forget, and it had nothing to do with me, which makes it even better, is when that men's chorus sings. And I got to be on stage and talk about the sound, just reverberating, the orchestra playing and the men singing, and Levine was conducting.
Oh my.
And I got to just stand there and be a part of that musical moment. And it was Easter time. It was like this, it was just starting to be warm. And I remember thinking how lucky I was to be on that stage. And it had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with me.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you. I don't mean to just hijack the whole thing here.
Yeah.
I know you've done some Carmens.
Yeah.
And as I said, I've done Rigoletto, and I've had conversations with other Rigolettos. And one of them said that another Rigoletto said to me, asking the question, have you noticed that after doing Rigoletto, you're just that much lonelier for doing that role? And I said, yeah. Now, the question I have is there something like Carmen, which is a huge role and has kind of, can we just say a quirky personality?
Yeah.
I mean, do you find yourself embracing something about the character in your own life?
Yes.
Whether it's just for rehearsals?
And I think bravery is what comes to mind.
That's not what I expected.
I think bravery, I sang the Peter Brook version, which is a smaller version, and it was hard. And it was in Israel at part of the Karpatova festival, which is a big Israeli festival, and I got to meet Sharon Perez. I was telling him. It was great. But it was scary though, because in Israel there are always soldiers everywhere.
With guns.
And women.
Uzis.
So you're singing and they're like soldiers, and it's just what it is, right? And I remember we were near Syria. We were on like 20 minutes from Syria, and I said, let's go. I want to go see Syria. The light, you can see the lights. Americans say yes, right?
Yes, that's
lights
right.
were it. And I was like, well, let's keep driving. And my Israeli friend looked at me and she said, are you crazy? You're American, I'm Israeli, we are not going to Syria. And to this day, I sort of wish we had. But in any case, Carmen, I felt very brave because it was so out of my comfort zone in every way you could ever imagine that I left feeling like, wow, if I could do that. I felt brave. I guess that's what comes to mind.
Awesome. Yeah. So if we can come back to today, or this past year, COVID, how did that affect you? I mean, if you can tell us something of your personal experience as singers, and of course, as humans.
I have to tell you, it was from the very beginning, I think everybody thought, well, it's going to be a few weeks.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? I knew the Met job, I was at the Met, I knew the Met job was going to go by the wayside. And there was a possibility of a Jesus Christ Superstar where I was doing pilot. And I was pretty sure that was, it gets worse. It gets worse. I had 50-50 odds on a Pagliacci that I was going to be doing in Michigan. That went away, and I thought, this isn't looking very good. And then the summer job, so this is still March or April.
Yeah.
The summer job went away, and I was looking forward to doing my first Lohengrin in Dallas. That went away. So the whole 2020 year went away, and then 2021 went away. So I think if I'm to be totally honest, one of the hardest things about the whole COVID time for me has been struggling with serious depression. And I'm not saying that just so you can say, oh, that's so sad. I'm not saying that. It's just a thing. I'm reminded of that movie, A Beautiful Mind, where the guy, the famous mathematician, knows that he is schizophrenic, and he sees these people, and his wife asks him, are they still there? And he said, yeah, they're still there. I just don't, I don't address them. Well, why not? Because they never age, or something like that. And so I'm saying, it's there. The depression is there. I do what I can. There's certain. I don't try to take medications because I could be addicted to a rock. So we don't do medication. I take some homeopathic stuff. I run. I go to hit the weight room, stuff like that. I do whatever I can to create an endorphin rush, some kind of endorphin rush. That's my story.
And I'm going to brag about him for a moment because he's a terrific musician.
Oh, I know.
Guitarist.
I know.
So he showed me these things of him singing Johnny Cash, and that's when I said, "Can I sing that with you?" Because I've never done anything like that, and then we did this, which you'll see.
We did this really.
Which
cool.
is talk about out of my comfort zone. But he plays
amazing.
all the different parts.
Yeah,
he would then
yeah.
sing my part so that I could hear. He's a great musician, and I think that also. Correct me if I'm wrong, but during COVID, right? You did a lot of creating.
I did I'm upwards of 130, and none of them are good. Some of them are horrible. I listen to them and I go, God, what were you thinking on that one?
Yep.
For instance, I tried to sing some of the Eagles songs. And can I just tell you folks,
They're hard.
they're not only are they hard, they're too high.
They're high.
They're just
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
Even the lowest singer was the guy whose son sings. Glenn Fry.
Yeah,
Glenn
yeah.
Fry
Oh, he's
is a high lyric baritone.
Yeah.
And they're just high,
Yeah.
and I just hurt myself.
Yeah.
So I won't be
Yeah.
doing any more Eagles songs, but thank you. That's one of the things I did, was I did a bunch of those, bunches of them.
Yeah. I think that COVID showed me that a creative person has to create.
Right.
And that I took the time, I think, I've actually taken the time to finish my master's degree. So I was almost done with my master's at IU. I was 3 credits shy when I won the Met competition and got into the Juilliard program. So needless to say, I left, and I sort of didn't look back for years. And then last year I thought, well, I'd like to have that degree. So I called them, and the dean was very nice. Oh, Kathryn, we remember you. We're so proud of you, so on and so on. However, it's been a little while. So we're not just going to give it to you. You have to redo. I've had to redo all of my coursework.
All of it?
I had to revalidate. Now, all the vocal credits, of course, I got. But I had, music theory, history, pedagogy, piano, Wagner, Ives. I either had to take a test to pass out of it or take the class.
Wow.
How many of the classes did you take? How many did you get to test out of?
I tested out of like 5 things. But the rest I've had to, which was no
That's
easy
good.
thing, because written theory, when was the last time you
1, 4, 5. That's all I got.
So I got a tutor, and I did. So if I keep my head down, and really I can finish by June. So I've used the time to do that, and then I just keep singing. I just sing. I sing and sing and sing, and then I call people and I say, I need to sing. I gotta sing. Somebody let me sing. I gotta sing something, right? Because that's what you do. You have creative people create.
Just what you do.
Yes.
It's what you do.
He does his way.
It's what you do.
It's what you do.
Do you use Zoom for that?
Yes, for the
For
the
singing.
classes. Well, the classes all
No,
are.
for classes, yes, but like when you say I want to sing. And
I just sing by myself. I have not coached on Zoom yet.
Yeah, it's scary.
I don't think I'm not. And why I won't have a voice lesson. I'm too nervous to.
All
I just.
day long.
Yeah.
7
How do
hours
you?
a day.
So you just. How do you
Karen
do?
coaches too. It's
I
just-
coach
Do
7
it though. Do
6
they
to
sing it
7.
on their own track and then you correct it?
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you can't be simultaneous. You can't simultaneously
you
have it,
can't.
right?
I can tell you when my wife has had enough.
Yeah.
My wife comes in, my wife has a very stern expression when she's mad at me, which is often. And she'll get up, I won't get up, but she'll get up. And she'll walk through where I am on her way to wherever she's going. She's going, I've been on that damn computer for 3 hours, I'm taking a walk. And when she's taking a walk, it means she's going to be gone for an hour, a good hour.
right.
And if she takes the dog, she takes the dog. If she don't, she don't.
right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
That's
right.
what I say. Yes,
Yes
ma'am.
is the answer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I get you anything
That's
while you're
right.
gone?
That's right.
Cookies, cakes,
Exactly.
something?
Exactly. It's a good
It's the
husband
only
right there.
way.
It's the only way.
I'm on FaceTime all day long.
Face, yeah.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Opera Florham's been performing since September, and that's
Indeed.
been such a blessing.
That's wonderful.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Every month we've had a concert.
Every month?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Right here.
That's
in this
fantastic.
wonderful-
And now,
And we've been
is it
here.
always, is it live?
We've
You know,
been-
jump
Yes,
in,
yes.
audience.
Well, it was-
We're talking amongst ourselves now.
It was live streamed too. for
It's
a while.
all live,
It's all
and
live.
Bill comes and records everything.
Yes.
We've had
Do you
a
have
different-
people that
Oh,
come?
yes, yes.
We've had up to 75 people.
75. I mean,
great?
isn't it weird that we're talking about 75? You know, the Met
that's-
holds 3,500
I
people, and
know.
we're talking about 75 as
And,
though it's the
and
answer.
clapping about it, because
Yeah.
what a fantastic thing.
I went down to Ocean Grove because my buddy Ron Naldi has.
I love him.
Everyone loves him.
He's great.
He's one of the great tenors of our time. I'm getting
Yes,
heads
he's
shaking
such a
all the way
nice
around.
guy.
He's a great guy, a mensch. He's been down there forever. And I sat down there and watched a quartet concert of the 4 soloists, and it was all really, really good people. And my wife was playing. And I sat there and I thought, this is the first piece of live music that I have heard since March, and this was August. So it was, and then I saw my son sing a thing at CCM, and I went, live theater. They all had masks on, they had microphones over the masks, and it was ridiculous. But it was what it was.
Exactly.
We got to do what we got to do.
Exactly. And here, Opera at Florham, we've been performing.
That's great.
We've been live
That's
all
great.
season.
Well, you haven't called me till now. I just want to tell you I'm a little pissed.
Oh,
What's with you people?
I'm
doesn't
saving
mean
the
that.
best for last.
Yes,
Good
exactly.
save. Did you hear that?
To save the best for last.
that's thinking on
Sorry, you'll be cutting that one anyway.
You
So.
will not be cutting to any of that. That's the God's honest truth, for
Yes.
sure. We've been very blessed.
That's great.
Mark, I have a question for you.
Yes, dear.
You live in Madison.
I do.
What brought you to Madison?
Lucas.
Look.
That's the easy one. That's the easy one. Karen and I had fallen hopelessly in love. We knew what we were going to do. We knew we were going to get married. We were engaged, and I asked her, you know, trepidatiously, because anybody who knows Karen knows she's got a mind of her own, and I didn't want to get hurt. So I said, you know, where would you like to live? She said, I don't care where we live, just so we live near Lucas, because they had their own thing going. They adored each other from the first time they met, and so we started looking. And we started looking for places, and I had a budget in mind. Clearly, because Madison being what it is, and you know, I had to up my budget. And so just the last day when I was about to give up and say, well, maybe we need to live somewhere else, we found the condo over in Rosewood Condominiums. We found a condo, a 3-bedroom condo, where we ended up raising our family until the time that we couldn't stand them anymore. Not that, I don't mean that, but they're just too big. Mariana will verify, I have large children. She has large children. Her boys are massive. But I've got these huge boys that they suck all the oxygen out of the air. You have boys, I mean, I'm going to tell you that I get near the refrigerator, and one of them will, this is from my alligator brain, I'm convinced. They'll come up next to me. And I'm at the refrigerator, and my first instinct is, right? Get away from the refrigerator. So we had to have a place to send them. So we have a basement now in our new place.
Yes.
The question is, how long? And we've been there 20 years. We've been there our whole marriage, 21 years.
Yes. And it just happened that when you guys moved to Madison, we came to Madison as well with my husband. And I found out that Karen got married to Mark Delavan, and I didn't know who Mark Delavan was. Sorry.
I don't know who Mark Delavan is either. So it's just...
So lucky for me to have a wonderful pianist next door to me, and literally we were like next door. I go for my first coaching, I ring the bell, and this guy opens. How can I help you? I lost my thought, and I'm like, Karen? I'm looking for Karen. And from there on, we've had children together, we had many parties.
Mariana and I have not had children together.
No,
Just so we clarify, we thought about it. We talked about it. No, we haven't.
No, our children grew up together, and it's great.
I would like to say a formal thank you while the camera is running to this dear lady, because I got a chance to do a Russian role. I think it was Disney, and I had to speak in Russian and in English with a Russian accent, and I thought, I wonder if Mariana would be interested in this. And of course I gave her a call, and she said, of course I would be interested, come to house. She doesn't talk like that, I just threw that in. And what, 10 hours? So we spent at least 10 hours on that bloody script that was just a page. My Russian's not that great. So formally, in front of the camera, God and everybody, and in the church, thank you so much, it was very helpful. I didn't get the gig, but that was my fault, not yours. There.
It was my pleasure. That's what neighbors are for.
That's right. It takes a village.
And if I can finally ask you guys, what are you grateful for?
Okay. You know, one of my combative tools to my depression is a gratitude list. And I have no less than 30 things. And I have maybe 10 names on that list. Lucia Evangelista, Jerome Hines, a gentleman by the name of Jess Lair, a gentleman by the name of Buster Holmes, my parents, Macon and Marlene Delavan. My sister has been a wonderful, Mariana was on my gratitude list for about a week there. The fact that we have shelter, the fact that I'm standing here. How many people are no longer standing here? Pardon me for getting pissed off, but how many people are no longer standing with us anymore? I mean, everybody's lost somebody. We're still healthy. The kids are moderately sane, you know, sort of. You know, they're hanging in there. Everybody's hanging in there. I could go on, but I'm going to pass.
Yeah, I think I can say yes to all those things. So grateful for my family, for our health, for I'm grateful. I think on the past sight of COVID, I feel like I've been a bit of a, like I've used this time to sort of cocoon a little bit, and I feel like I'm going to get to sprout and sort of butterfly out.
that.
I feel that, and I think this next 5 years, I think, of my life are going to be of new beginnings and new, so I'm grateful for that. COVID made me stop, and it made me reassess. I fixed some things about my voice that I didn't like. I'm going to be honest, I did, because I didn't have the pressure of performing.
Yeah.
So I fixed some things that for the longest time I don't think I really understood. And so I'm grateful for that. I've finished my degree.
June.
So I feel, June, God. And so I'm grateful for perspective of what's important. I think that's what COVID
Oh,
showed
yeah,
me.
man. Amen. Amen on that one.
Yes. Well, thank you so much,
Thank
guys.
you.
And I hope that you will come and join us on April 18th at 3 o'clock.